what if the ultimate shortcut to, understanding reality and achieving this absolute unshakable peace, what if it required absolutely zero effort?
Right. It is the ultimate counterintuitive claim,
Yeah,
honestly.
totally. Because today we are doing a deep dive into a text that essentially claims your morning routines, your productivity hacks, and like your 10-step mindfulness
All
programs.
the stuff we rely on.
Exactly. It claims those are actually the very things keeping you trapped.
It's wild. Because we are conditioned from birth to
Yeah.
believe that the universe is just this giant transaction.
Right. Like you put in the effort, you get the reward.
Exactly. If you want a better career, you hustle. If you want peace of mind, you sit on a cushion and meditate for 1,000 hours.
Right. You grind for it.
Yeah, you grind. But
Mhm.
the document we are exploring today looks at that entire paradigm and basically says, no, trying is the prison.
Trying is the prison. Wow. And we are not talking about some modern, trendy internet blog post here.
Oh, definitely not.
No, we are getting into a really profound, uncompromising, ancient document called the Ashtavakra Gita.
It is a powerhouse of a text,
It really is. And specifically, we're looking at a translation by a man named Bart Marshall.
which is such an important detail.
Right, because before we even get into the heavy philosophy, we really need to set the stage with Marshall's story. It completely reframes how you read this text, I think.
Oh, it brings it completely out of the ancient past and just slams it right into visceral, modern reality.
Exactly. So Marshall's journey is just incredible. It starts back in 1968 during the Vietnam War.
Right. He is 21 years old at the time.
Yeah, 21, serving in a combat zone. He is out on a mission, and suddenly there is this massive explosion.
And to this day, he isn't even sure if he was an incoming mortar round or a hand grenade, right?
Yeah, he doesn't know, but it detonates right next to him.
Just unimaginably terrifying.
And most near-death experiences, people describe seeing a white light or like their life flashing before their eyes.
Right, the typical tropes.
But Marshall is blown into what he describes as a clear and brilliant blackness.
Yes. That phrase is so striking. The sheer violence of the explosion physically threw him, but psychologically, it completely obliterated his sense of self for a moment.
Like a total reset.
Exactly. He didn't just see blackness. He experienced it as this intimate, deeply familiar emptiness.
Wow.
It was a void, but, not a scary one. It was a void that felt more real than the jungle, the war, or even his own body.
That is heavy. And that single violent brush with mortality, that momentary dropping of the ego,
Yeah.
it sparked this obsession that lasted for 37 years.
37 years of searching. It's almost hard to fathom.
I mean, he survived the war, he came home, and he spent almost 4 decades scouring esoteric bookstores, traveling, meditating, and just reading everything he could get his hands on.
Trying to find a conceptual framework for that explosion.
Exactly, trying to explain what he experienced in that brilliant blackness. Imagine having a singular experience so profound that you dedicate your entire adult life to understanding it.
And the irony is, for 37 years, he couldn't find it.
Right.
I mean, he found fragments, sure, hints and practices, but nothing that captured the raw, unadulterated purity of what he felt.
Until the veil finally lifts for him on a personal level.
Yeah, and shortly after that realization, he is literally sitting by the bedside of a dying friend.
Just a normal, heavy life moment.
Right. And someone casually hands him a copy of this ancient text, the Ashtavakra Gita. He barely even knew what it was.
And he opens it up, reads it, and is completely, astonishingly validated.
After nearly 4 decades.
Yeah. Here is this concise, singular volume that contains everything that needed to be said, but he felt the existing English translations were a bit dusty.
Yeah, they lacked the rhythm.
Right, the urgency and the uncompromising precision he knew the truth required. So what does he do? He translates it himself.
Which is a massive undertaking.
And the resulting text is, well, it's intense.
Intense is the perfect word.
It has no rules for moral behavior, doesn't tell you how to be a good neighbor.
No, not at all.
It doesn't tell you how to manage your anxiety. It is relentlessly one-pointed.
It is what we call an upadesha, as a direct surgical instruction.
Surgical. I like that.
Yeah, it is not designed to comfort you. It is designed to wake you up.
Okay, so before we jump into the text itself, we need to clarify a term that is going to come up constantly. Non-duality.
Crucial concept. We have to define that.
Right. Let's break that down because it sounds like academic jargon. What exactly does non-duality mean for, the person listening to this on their commute right now?
Okay, so duality is how we normally experience the world. It is the baseline belief that I am inside this body, looking out through these eyes, at a universe that is completely separate from me.
Right. Me in here, world out there.
Exactly. There is a subject, and there are objects. And duality is really the basis of all human suffering.
Why is that?
Because if the universe is separate from you, it can hurt you.
Oh, wow.
Right. It can take things away from you. Non-duality, on the other hand, is the radical proposition that this separation is just an optical illusion of the mind.
A glitch in the matrix.
Basically, yeah. It asserts that there is only one continuous reality, one infinite consciousness. And everything, your thoughts, other people, the stars, the traffic jam you are sitting in right now, is just a temporary ripple on the surface of that single ocean.
So absolutely no separation between the observer and the observed. Got it.
Exactly.
And to really bring this philosophy to life, we are going to do something a bit special for this deep dive.
Yes, I'm really looking forward to this.
So the Ashtavakra Gita is entirely structured as a dialogue between two characters.
Right.
You have King Janaka, who is the brilliant, eager seeker. He's the guy who asks the existential questions. And then you have the sage Ashtavakra, who delivers the answers without sugarcoating a single word.
Zero sugarcoating.
So to unpack this for you, the listener, we are going to adopt these perspectives.
We aren't going to just read a script. We are going to actually embody the dynamic.
Exactly. I will step into the mindset of King Janaka. I will be the proxy for you, the listener.
You'll take the hits.
I will take the hits. I am the guy who has success, power, wealth, but still wakes up at 3 a.m. with that knot of anxiety in my chest, knowing there must be something more.
And you're going to push back.
Oh, I will push back. I will question, and I will experience those mind-bending aha moments right along with you.
And I will take on the perspective of the sage Ashtavakra.
The master.
Right. My role will be to deliver the unvarnished truth. I'm going to cut through your mental loopholes and try to dismantle the very foundation of your worldview with calm precision.
All right, the stage is set. We are face to face. I am Janaka.
Okay, Janaka.
I have tried all the self-help. I have built the empire, but I am spiritually exhausted. I look at you, the master, and I fire the opening salvo. It is the ultimate question we all want the answer to.
Let's hear it.
How is knowledge to be achieved, detachment acquired, liberation attained?
And as Ashtavakra, I don't hand you a meditation schedule.
Thank goodness.
Right. I don't tell you to start waking up at 5 a.m. or to go on a 10-day silent retreat. I look right at you and deliver a radical, immediate instruction.
Which is?
I tell you, if you wish to be free, shun the experiences of the senses like poison.
Like poison.
Yes. I tell you that you are not earth, water, fire, or air. You are not even the empty space between things.
Wow.
You want liberation. Know yourself as awareness alone. The solitary witness.
Okay, let's unpack this, because my immediate reaction as Janaka, and definitely as a modern person listening, is intense intellectual whiplash. Shun the senses like poison. I mean, I like my senses.
We all do.
I like the taste of a good cup of coffee. I like listening to music. I like the feeling of the sun on my face.
Right.
Are you literally telling me I have to hate the physical world to be free?
No. And this is where the language must be understood deeply.
Okay.
I am not telling you to destroy your sensory organs or to stop enjoying your morning coffee. I am diagnosing the fundamental disease of human suffering.
Which is what?
When I say shun the senses like poison, I am talking about your attachment to the data your senses provide.
Oh, attachment. Okay.
Yes.
Oh.
You believe that what you see, hear, and touch is the ultimate absolute reality. You let the sensory world completely dictate your inner peace.
Ah.
If the coffee is bad, your morning is ruined. If someone insults you, you feel actual visceral pain. You are entirely at the mercy of external phenomena.
So the poison isn't the physical world itself. The poison is the belief that my identity is tied to it.
Exactly. And I follow it up by identifying the exact mechanism of this poison.
What's the mechanism?
I tell you, the thought, quote, I am the doer, is the bite of a poisonous snake.
I am the doer. That is fascinating because it goes against every single thing modern society preaches.
It absolutely does.
I mean, we are defined by what we do. Our resumes, our social media profiles, our bank accounts, they are all monuments to our doing.
Right.
Why is claiming I did this a snake bite?
Think about the physiological reaction to a snake bite.
Okay, panic.
Venom enters the bloodstream. The nervous system goes into shock. The body literally starts fighting itself.
Yeah, it's systemic.
When you adopt the belief, I am the doer, you inject the venom of the ego into your consciousness. Because if you are the doer, then you are responsible for controlling the universe.
Oh, man. That sounds exhausting.
It is. You must succeed, you must avoid failure, you must manipulate people and circumstances just to get what you want. It creates this exhausting, never-ending state of psychological hypervigilance.
So what's the cure?
The cure, the antivenom, is the profound wisdom of faith. I do nothing.
I do nothing.
I do nothing.
But how can I believe that? I mean, I'm the one moving my arms. I'm the one making the decisions.
And to explain this, as Ashtavakra, I bring in one of the most famous analogies in all of Eastern philosophy, the snake and the rope.
Oh, yes. Let's walk through this because it is so visual.
This analogy is the cornerstone of understanding how an illusion can create real-world suffering.
Okay, paint the picture.
Imagine you are walking down a poorly lit dirt road at dusk. You look down, and right in your path is a coiled snake.
My heart rate spikes instantly. Adrenaline just floods my system. I jump back. Maybe I scream.
Exactly. And notice what is happening. Your body is having a very real, intense physiological reaction.
Oh, yeah. The fear is real.
The threat feels mortal. You might pick up a stick to defend yourself. You might frantically map out an escape route in your mind. You are entirely engaged with the reality of the snake.
Right. It is my entire world in that second.
But then, a friend walks up behind you with a flashlight. They shine the beam directly onto the ground, and in the bright light, you see that it isn't a snake at all.
It's just a coiled, discarded piece of rope.
Yes.
And the fear evaporates in a microsecond. I drop the stick. I probably laugh at myself.
Now ask yourself, Jenica, did the snake die?
No, it never existed.
Did you have to exert effort to fight the snake, or negotiate with it, or meditate it away?
No. I just needed enough light to see what was actually there.
This is the exact mechanism of enlightenment that the text is pointing to.
Wow.
Your entire egoic identity, your stresses, your career anxieties, your personal history, your grudges, your concept of being a separate doer, that is the snake.
And it feels incredibly real.
It feels completely real. It causes genuine, undeniable suffering in your life, but it is just a superimposition.
A trick of the mind.
Yes, a trick played over the underlying reality, which is pure awareness. The rope.
So Ashtavakra is saying you do not need to fight your ego.
No.
You do not need to go to war with your desires. You just need to shine the light of awareness on them and see that they have no actual substance.
Exactly.
That is a staggering shift in perspective. And you don't stop there. As the master, you hit me with these spatial, physics-bending metaphors to really break down my concept of identity.
I have to deconstruct everything you think you know.
You tell me, quote, just as a mirror exists both within and without the image reflected, the Supreme Self exists both within and without the body.
Let's really examine the physics of a mirror here. When you stand in front of a mirror, what do you see?
I see myself, I see the room behind me, maybe the light from the window. I see a whole three-dimensional world contained within this flat piece of glass.
Right. Now imagine a raging house fire is reflected in that mirror. Does the glass get hot? Does it melt?
No, it's just reflecting the image of heat.
And if the mirror reflects a violent, crashing ocean storm, does the glass get wet?
Not at all.
The mirror contains the entire chaotic image, but it's fundamentally untouched by it. The nature of the mirror is simply to reflect, perfectly and impartially.
Okay, I see where this is going.
Ashtavakra is telling you that you are not the fire. You are not the storm.
Wow.
You are not the angry thoughts, the sad memories, or the physical pains of your body. You are the mirror.
The mirror.
You are the pure, transparent glass of consciousness. The world is just a reflection passing across your surface.
That immediately creates a sense of profound distance from my own suffering.
It does. I mean, if I am the mirror, then a panic attack is just a stormy reflection. A moment of triumph is just a bright reflection. I hold them both, but I am neither of them. And then we push it even further with the metaphor of the jar.
Let's hear it.
I say, just as the same space exists both within and without a jar, the timeless, all-pervasive one exists as totality.
Okay, let me make sure I'm visualizing this correctly. Say I take a clay jar, hollow on the inside, and I seal a lid on it.
Okay.
My mind naturally categorizes the space inside the jar as inside space and the space around it in the room as outside space.
We do this constantly. We draw lines. We say, this is me inside my skin, and that is the world outside my skin.
Right.
But let's look at the actual reality of space. Does the space inside the jar have a different molecular structure than the space outside?
No, it's identical.
Now, take a hammer and smash the clay jar into a million pieces.
Okay.
Does the inside space suddenly rush out to join the outside space? Is there a chaotic mixing of two different elements?
No. The jar just disappears, and the space remains exactly as it always was, undivided.
Yes.
It was always just space. The boundary of the clay jar was the only thing creating the illusion of separation.
A clay jar is your ego.
Oh, man.
It is your name, your social security number, your personality, your memories. It is the boundary you have constructed to convince yourself that you are a separate entity.
I'm just a jar.
You think you are the space inside the jar, looking nervously out in a vast alien universe? But Ashtavakra is handing you the hammer.
Smash the jar.
He is telling you to shatter the concept of the jar and realize that you are the undivided space itself.
And as King Janaka, standing before you, hearing these metaphors, the rope, the mirror, the jar, it works.
It lands.
This is where the narrative structure of the text becomes so electrifying. It doesn't take me 10 years of processing to get it.
No, it is immediate.
We are barely into the dialogue, and Janaka experiences a complete, spontaneous eruption of joy. The hammer hits the jar and the boundary shatters.
This is a radical element of the text. It insists that if the mind is truly ripe, simply hearing the absolute truth is enough.
It just bypasses the intellect entirely.
Bypasses the intellect and strikes the core. So how does Janaka react to this realization?
He erupts into some of the most beautiful, ecstatic poetry imaginable. Chapter 2 is just incredible. The veil drops entirely, and I look at you and say, I am now spotless and at peace awareness beyond consciousness. All this time, I have been duped by illusion.
Duped by illusion.
I literally realized the cosmic joke. I spent my whole life worrying about the kingdom, worrying about my legacy, and suddenly I see it was all just a shadow play.
It is a profound paradigm shift. You go from identifying as the localized body to identifying as the universal canvas.
Exactly. And Janaka uses these brilliant metaphors to explain how the universe actually functions once you see it from the perspective of the infinite ocean rather than the tiny wave.
Let's dive into those metaphors.
He says, as waves, foam, and bubbles are not different from water, so the universe emanating from self is not different from self.
Think about the mechanics of an ocean. A wave rises, peaks, crashes, and turns into sea foam.
Right.
To a naive observer, the wave looks like an independent object. It has a shape, it has a lifespan, it moves.
But it's water.
But it is never, for a single fraction of a millisecond, anything other than water.
So applying that to reality, my life, my body, my thoughts, the trees outside, the stars, they are all just waves rising and falling.
Yes.
And what they are made of, their fundamental substance, isn't physical matter. It's me. It's consciousness. The universe isn't happening to me. It is happening within me.
And he reinforces this with other everyday observations.
Right, like the cloth.
He talks about looking closely at a woven cloth and realizing it is nothing but threads.
Yeah.
He talks about tasting sugarcane juice and realizing that sweetness pervades the entire liquid. He is looking at the tapestry of reality and seeing the single thread of awareness running through every atom.
And it makes him completely fearless. As Janaka, I say, I am wonderful indeed beyond adoration. I cannot decay nor ever die, though God and all the universe should perish to the last blade of grass.
It's a staggering statement.
So let's pause and appreciate the sheer, unapologetic magnitude of that. It almost sounds incredibly arrogant, doesn't it?
To the untrained ear, yes.
But it isn't ego. It's the absolute absence of ego. The arc of my personhood has been completely swallowed up by this realization. I see myself as the eternal witness. Let the universe burn. Let the stars burn out. I, the mirror, will remain untouched. I have everything, and I have absolutely nothing.
And as Ashtavakra, I stand there and I listen to this tremendous outpouring of ecstasy.
Yeah.
And I see that it is genuine. You have seen the rope. You have
Yeah.
smashed the jar.
Okay, good.
But here is where the brilliance of the true master shines. My role is not to pat you on the back.
Uh-oh.
My role is not to say, congratulations, you've graduated. Go start a YouTube channel about your enlightenment.
Right.
An ecstatic state, no matter how profound, is still a state. It has a beginning, which means it can have an end. I cannot let you coast on a spiritual high.
So what do you do?
I have to push you past the ecstasy into complete, irrevocable dissolution.
Wait, what? Why? I just realized I am the limitless ocean. I just transcended death. What more could you possibly want from me?
I want the absolute eradication of the last, subtlest trace of your ego.
Oh, wow.
In the dialogue, I validate your experience, but I immediately offer a sharp correction.
Hit me.
I tell you, like an imagined snake in a rope. The universe appears to exist in the immaculate self, but does not. Seeing this, you know, There's nothing to dissolve.
Okay, my brain just short-circuited. There's nothing to dissolve. I was just celebrating the fact that my ego dissolved. I was throwing a cosmic party about how I dissolved into the universe.
And that is exactly the trap.
What do you mean?
Who is throwing the party?
Ugh.
Who is celebrating the dissolution? If you say, I have dissolved my ego into the universe, you are still subtly holding on to two things. An I that did the dissolving, and a universe that you dissolved into.
Oh, man.
You are still marveling at how cool the snake looks, even though you know it's a rope.
I see it. It's the spiritual ego. It's the trap of saying, look how enlightened I am. Look at me dissolving.
Exactly. You cannot dissolve an illusion. You can only recognize that it never existed.
Right.
If you turn on the flashlight and see the rope, you don't then spend an hour trying to dissolve the snake. You just walk past the rope.
That is so simple, but so profound.
As long as Janaka is poetically marveling at the universe emanating from himself, he is still captivated by the illusion. So I realize that mere realization is not enough.
It has to be tested.
The realization must be tempered in the fire of ordinary life. I decide to put your so-called enlightenment to the ultimate test.
Bring it on! I am King Janaka. I am still floating on a cloud of non-dual bliss. How do you test the man who thinks he is the universe?
I test him by looking at his actual daily life.
Okay.
You aren't a monk on a mountain. You are a king.
A busy guy.
Very busy. You have a massive palace, a sprawling treasury, wives, political rivals, and armies. So, I adopt a skeptical, almost confrontational tone.
Okay.
I start firing questions like arrows to see if your enlightenment holds up under pressure.
What do you ask?
I demand consistency. I ask, if you are serene and indestructible, why do you desire wealth?
Ouch.
I push harder. How can a man who knows the self remain a slave to lust? If you truly believe the body is just an illusion, why do you fear the dissolution of the body when you get sick?
These are the exact questions every skeptic asks when they meet a so-called guru.
Oh, totally.
Like, if you're so enlightened, why do you drive a nice car? Why did you get angry when the waiter spilled your water?
Because it is dangerously easy to adopt non-duality as an intellectual shield.
Right.
We call this spiritual bypass.
Spiritual bypassing. Explain that.
A person learns the vocabulary. They say, everything is one, nothing matters, the world is an illusion. But they use that philosophy to justify running away from their actual problems.
Oh, that makes so much sense.
Deep down, their nervous system is still terrified. They still secretly crave a promotion. They still get jealous of their neighbors. And they are terrified of getting old.
Because the words are empty.
Yes. So I lay down the absolute unbreakable law of non-duality. Desire is the root of bondage.
But define desire in this context. Is it just wanting a sports car?
It is much deeper than that. I tell you, when the mind desires or grieves things, accepts or rejects things, is pleased or displeased by things, this is bondage.
Wait, pleased or displeased? Accepted or rejected? That covers literally every human interaction.
Yes, it does.
If I eat a delicious meal and feel pleased, I'm in bondage. If I step in a puddle and feel displeased, I'm in bondage.
Yes, because any movement of preference implies that you believe one state is inherently better than another.
Yeah.
It implies you believe the external world has the power to add to or subtract from your internal completeness.
Wow.
Where there is desire, there is the world. As long as you want something or want to avoid something, you are feeding the illusion of separation.
Okay, but as Janaka, I have a defense ready.
Let's hear the defense.
And it's a profound defense of how an enlightened person actually functions in the real world. I tell you, surely one who knows self, though he plays the game of life, differs greatly from the world's bewildered, burdened beasts.
Unpack that defense for me. How are you playing the game differently?
I am basically saying, yes, Ashtavakra, you look at me and see a king sitting on a throne. You see me collecting taxes, negotiating treaties, and eating rich food. It looks exactly like what an ego-driven king does.
Right. It looks identical from the outside.
But internally, the engine has completely changed. I am just playing a role in a play.
The actor analogy.
Exactly. The actor playing Hamlet doesn't actually get depressed when Hamlet's life falls apart. He hits his marks, says his lines with passion, but he knows he's going to take off the costume and go eat pizza after the curtain falls.
It is the concept of acting without attachment to the fruits of the action.
Precisely. I tell you that the true knower of truth acts, but is completely untouched by virtue or vice. And I use this great analogy from the text like space, which is not touched by smoke.
That is a phenomenal visual.
Isn't it?
Imagine a thick black plume of smoke rising from a fire. It obscures the sky, it chokes the lungs, it moves dynamically. But does the space that the smoke occupies actually get dirty?
No, the space just allows the smoke to exist, and when the wind blows the smoke away, the space is still perfectly pristine.
The smoke is your life. It is your job, your relationships, your successes, your failures, the insults people throw at you,
All the drama.
all of it. A normal person identifies with the smoke. They feel dirty. They feel choked. They try to control the wind.
Which is impossible.
Exactly. The enlightened person realizes they are the space.
Yeah.
They let the smoke of life pass through them without clinging to it or fighting it. This is the profound indifference the text advocates.
And we have to be extremely careful here to clarify what indifference means.
Yes, very important point.
Because to a modern listener, indifference sounds like apathy. It sounds like depression. It sounds like a nihilistic teenager sitting on a couch saying, nothing matters, so I'm just going to play video games until I die.
It is the exact opposite of apathy. Nihilism is a heavy, dark state of contraction. It says, the world is meaningless, therefore I despair.
Right.
The indifference of the sage is a state of vibrant, boundless freedom. It says, the world is a transient illusion, therefore I am free to play within it without fear.
It's freeing.
It is seeing, as the text beautifully phrases it, the primal element alone in the myriad forms.
So when a true sage is handed a bar of solid gold or a clump of dirt, they don't reject the gold to show how holy they are, and they don't cling to the dirt. They look at both and say, shifting shapes of the same underlying consciousness. They don't grieve when the gold is stolen, and they aren't overjoyed if someone hands them more dirt.
Exactly. Going back to our mirror analogy, the mirror doesn't care if it reflects a diamond necklace or a pile of garbage.
It just reflects.
It reflects both perfectly with equal clarity and remains untarnished by either. This is how the sage moves through the world.
Which is an incredibly beautiful concept, but it brings up a massive, glaring paradox.
Hey, paradox, yes.
And this is where the Ashtavakra Gita leaves almost every other spiritual tradition, self-help book, and philosophical system completely in the dust.
The trap of the seeker.
Yes, because if I'm listening to this deep dive, I am likely thinking, wow, this state of being the mirror sounds amazing. I want that.
Naturally.
I hate feeling anxious. I hate being jerked around by my desires. So starting tomorrow, I am going to practice non-attachment. I am going to meditate an hour a day. I am going to exert maximum willpower to stop desiring things.
And in doing so, you have just slammed the prison door shut and locked yourself inside.
Which brings us to the core of the problem, the paradox of effort.
Let's get into chapters 12 through 16.
Yeah. As Janaka, I start to realize the absolute futility of trying to become enlightened. I tell you about the progression of my stillness. I say becoming first intolerant of action, then of excessive speech, then of thought itself. I come to be here.
He's winding down.
I realize that doing things, and even intentionally not doing things, both arise from ignorance.
Let's dissect the psychology of that. The ego, the mind, thrives on tasks.
It needs a job.
It justifies its existence by having a problem to solve. If you tell the ego, desire is bad, we need to stop desiring, the ego says, great, a new project. My new desire is to eliminate desire.
It's so sneaky.
It turns enlightenment into a goal, an achievement, a mountain to climb. But enlightenment is the realization that there is nowhere to go. So exerting effort to reach a place you're already at is the definition of madness.
It's the insomnia analogy.
Yes, lay that out.
It is the most relatable way to explain this to anyone in the modern world. Everyone has experienced this.
We go, huh?
It is 3 a.m. You have the most important presentation of your career at 8 a.m. You are lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, and you say to yourself, I must go to sleep right now. I have to force myself to sleep.
And what happens?
You squeeze your eyes shut. You try to force your brain to power down. You try to actively manage your breathing. And the harder you try to sleep, the more aggressively, violently awake you become.
Your body fights you.
Your heart rate goes up because you're failing to sleep. The sheer effort of trying to sleep is the exact mechanism preventing the natural occurrence of sleep.
That is a flawless parallel.
Mm-hmm.
Sleep is a natural state that happens when effort ceases.
Right.
You cannot do sleep. You can only allow it. Ashtavakra is saying that enlightenment, or knowing the self, is exactly the same.
That's incredible.
The practice of meditation, if done with the tense, grasping intention of achieving a spiritual goal, is actually keeping you wide awake to the illusion of the ego.
This leads to the most shocking truth in the entire text. As Ashtavakra, you lean in and deliver a special instruction that just shatters the human paradigm.
I tell you, everyone is miserable because they exert constant effort. But no one understands this.
Just let that sink in. Everyone is miserable because they exert constant effort.
It's the opposite of what we're taught.
We assume people are miserable because they don't try hard enough. They didn't work hard enough to get the good job. They didn't try hard enough to save their marriage. They didn't exert enough effort to fix their flaws. But you are saying the misery is caused by the exertion itself.
The baseline state of the universe is peace. The baseline state of consciousness is joy.
Okay.
The only way to experience misery is to tense up, to resist what is happening, to try and force the universe into a shape that matches your ego's preference.
Which takes energy.
Massive amounts of psychological energy. It is exhausting.
So what is the alternative? If trying makes us miserable, what does the truly happy person look like?
I introduced the concept of the master idler.
The master idler.
I say, the master idler, to whom even blinking is a bother, is happy. But he is the only one.
Okay, I have to push back here. On behalf of everyone listening who has a mortgage, kids, and a boss who expects them to show up on Tuesday.
Fair enough.
This sounds like a prescription for clinical laziness. It sounds like you are telling me to quit my job, sit on my couch, stare at the wall, and refuse to even blink because trying is bad. How does society function if everyone is a master idler?
This is where understanding the nuance of non-duality is life or death.
Okay.
The text is not advocating for physical immobility. The idling is entirely internal.
Internal idling.
It is a psychological non-attachment. It is an internal engine that has stopped revving in a desperate attempt to get somewhere else.
How does that look in practice, though?
I clarify it by explaining the trap of opposites. I tell you, indulgence creates attachment. Aversion creates abstinence.
Let's use a modern example.
Let's use a diet.
Yeah.
Say you love junk food. You eat it every day, you crave it, you are physically dependent on it, you are clearly attached, right? You are in bondage to indulgence.
Sure.
So you decide to go on a hyper-strict, militant diet. You refuse to eat anything but raw vegetables. You walk past a bakery, smell a croissant, and you exert massive willpower to grit your teeth and walk away.
Okay.
You tell everyone you meet about your pure diet. Are you free?
No, in a way, I'm thinking about food even more than when I was just eating the junk. I'm obsessed with avoiding it.
Exactly. Your aversion is just desire turned upside down.
Oh, that's good.
The monk who forces himself to fast, sleep on a bed of nails, and avoid society is exerting massive effort to maintain his purity. He is terrified of the world. He is just as trapped by his effort as the glutton at the buffet.
They are both just trying to manage the illusion.
Constantly trying to manage their relationship with the illusion.
So what does the sage do?
The sage is free of both indulgence and aversion. The sage lives like a young child.
Like a toddler.
Yes. A toddler doesn't exert psychological effort to be present in the moment. When they're at the park, they play with total absorption. When they scrape their knee, they cry with total honesty.
Right, they don't hold back.
And 5 minutes later, they see a butterfly. The tears stop, and they are fascinated by the butterfly. They don't carry the emotional baggage of the scraped knee into the next hour.
They just move on.
They aren't trying to shape reality. They're just moving with it.
Which begs the question. If the sage isn't trying to achieve anything, if they aren't hiding in a cave to avoid the world, but they aren't eagerly chasing wealth like a materialist, what does their life actually look like from the outside?
That's the big question.
If you, as a listener, actually internalize this and drop all your effort, what happens when you go to the office tomorrow?
To answer that, Ashtavakra delivers what is essentially a graduate-level masterclass in lived non-duality.
Chapters 17 and 18.
Yes, it is a barrage of profound truths. It is a relentless 100-verse bombardment aimed at destroying the last desperate attempts of the ego to find a foothold. This is a heavy artillery.
Let's get hit by it, because this is the part that completely redefines what it means to be a spiritual person.
I describe the actions of the true knower. The first key concept is action without agency. I say the wise one lives happily, doing whatever gets done.
Whatever gets done, not, whatever he rationally plans out on his calendar.
Exactly. The sense of a personal doer is gone. We touched on this earlier, but here we see its full manifestation.
Okay.
To the outside observer, the sage looks like they're making decisions. They go to the store, they cook a meal, they might even run a business. But internally, they experience no friction of choice.
No friction.
They seem to think, but have no thoughts. They seem to have sense perceptions, but do not experience them the way an ego does. They have become a hollow flute through which the breath of the universe simply plays its tune.
It sounds a bit like what athletes and artists describe as the flow state.
That's a great modern parallel.
Like, when a jazz musician is perfectly improvising, they aren't trying to play the right notes. They aren't consciously deciding where to put their fingers. The music is just playing itself through them. The text is basically saying the sage lives their entire life, 24/7, in that flow state.
Precisely. And
Yeah.
because they are in that state, their relationship to the temptations of the world completely changes.
Right.
The text uses an ancient metaphor here. It says, "As the foliage of the neem tree does not please an elephant who delights in salaki leaves, so do sense objects not please he who delights in self."
Okay, let's modernize that metaphor because most of us don't know what a neem tree is and, we aren't elephants.
Far enough.
It's essentially saying, imagine you have just eaten a 10-course meal at a Michelin star restaurant. You are completely, profoundly satisfied. You walk out onto the street, and someone tries to tempt you with a stale, cold French fry they found on the ground.
Perfect analogy. Do you have to exert willpower to resist the stale French fry?
No, it's not even a temptation. I'm completely full.
That is how the sage views the pleasures of the material world. Wealth, fame, status, shallow physical gratification.
It's just a stale fry.
When you have tasted the infinite, limitless joy of pure awareness, the little sensory toys of the ego don't register as tempting anymore. You don't have to fight them off. You just don't care.
And Ashtavakra uses an even more vivid comparison to show the difference between a real sage and a fake guru.
Yes, the tiger and the elephant.
He says that ordinary timid seekers fear sensory experiences like they are tigers. They run to monasteries, they hide in caves, they take vows of silence because they are terrified the world will corrupt them.
But to the desireless man, the true sage, sensory experiences are like elephants who stumble across a sleeping lion.
Oh, I love this.
The sensory experiences either turn on their heels and run away in fear of the lion's quiet power, or they stay to flatter and serve him.
They serve him.
The sage does not run from the chaotic world. The world organizes itself around the sage's unmoving center.
This is where it gets incredibly liberating for the modern listener. Because the text explicitly states that a liberated soul does not have to fit the stereotype of a holy man.
No robes required.
You don't have to shave your head. The text says the sage can be surrounded by wealth, by wives, by children, by friends. They can be in the thick of human society.
Yeah.
They can even be surrounded by people who violently ridicule and despise them. And through all of it, whether they are praised as a hero or mocked as a fool, their heart remains entirely unmoved. They are, as the text beautifully puts it, untethered from life, like a leaf in the wind.
Consider the leaf in the wind. The leaf does not have a destination in mind.
Right.
It doesn't stress out when there's a downdraft, and it doesn't feel proud of itself when an updraft carries it higher than the other leaves. It offers zero resistance to reality.
It just flows.
It moves perfectly in accordance with the forces of nature.
But then you push it further. You aren't satisfied with just describing how the sage lives. You want to plunge me, Janaka, into the absolute deepest void imaginable.
We have to.
You want to shatter the final concepts my mind is clinging to, even the spiritual ones.
This is the final dismantling. I look at you and I say, for the great soul, there is no meditation.
No meditation.
None. There is no liberation, there is no heaven, and there is no hell.
You are systematically dismantling the entire foundation of religion and spiritual practice.
Because religion and practice are still concepts. They're still jars.
Wow.
I say, he who claims liberation as his own as an attainment of a person is neither enlightened nor a seeker. He suffers his own misery.
That is brutal.
If you walk around thinking, I am an enlightened being, that very I ruins the enlightenment. The ego has just put on a spiritual costume.
It's still the snake.
It's still the snake. Therefore, I conclude this massive assault with the ultimate chilling yet liberating statement. In short, consciousness is void. What more can be said?
Consciousness is void. It is a complete hollowing out. It's terrifying to the ego, but infinitely spacious to the soul.
And how does a seeker respond to this?
Hmm.
How do you, as King Janaka, react when your master systematically takes away your kingdom, your body, your mind, your universe, and then finally takes away your liberation itself?
How do I respond?
Yeah, what's left?
I respond by losing my ability to make statements entirely. We enter the final phase of the text, chapters 19 and 20, the poetry of absolute absence.
The final dissolution.
As Janaka, the realization is now total. The process worked. The final microscopic traces of my identity are burning up in the atmosphere of truth. I have nothing left to defend.
It's over.
I look at you and I say, with the tongs of truth, I have plucked the thorn of thinking from the innermost cave of my heart.
Notice the phrasing there. The thorn of thinking, not the thorn of bad thinking, not the thorn of anxiety or depression.
It's just thinking.
The very mechanical process of thinking itself, the dividing of reality into concepts, is the thorn that was causing the pain.
Yeah.
And you have extracted it.
And once the thorn is gone, language breaks down. I can't even speak in declarative sentences anymore. I can only speak in a flurry of paradoxical rhetorical questions that demonstrate the evaporation in all boundaries.
What do you ask?
I ask you, where is past and future or even present? Where is space or even eternity?
When you reside only in the timeless, infinite future. Now, the ideas of past and future are revealed as mere mental filing systems. They aren't real.
I keep going, the pace quickening as the universe dissolves. Where is sleeping, dreaming, waking? Where is the void? Where is the mind? Where is the knower, the knowing, or the knowledge?
That is the ultimate collapse. The triad of reality, the observer, the object being observed, and the act of observing, they all collapse back into a single indivisible point of pure awareness.
And finally, we reach the climax, the last words King Janaka speaks in the entire text. I stand before you, completely empty and completely full, and I say, where is anything? Where is nothing? I am pure awareness. Where is existence or non-existence? Where is unity or duality? Nothing emanates from me. No more can be said.
No more can be said. And as Ashtavakra, I hear those final words. I look at the space where King Janaka used to be. I see that the ego, the mind, the frightened person who asked the first question, has been entirely extinguished, leaving only the pure, blinding light of the self.
What does the master say to that?
I say nothing.
Nothing.
I do not offer another teaching. I do not give you a final blessing or a diploma or a pat on the head. The text implies that Ashtavakra simply smiles, nods approvingly, and falls silent.
The silence at the end of the text is absolutely deafening.
Because the dynamic itself is dissolved. There is no longer a teacher with superior knowledge to give instruction, and there is no longer a confused student to receive it.
There is only the one.
There's only the one. Janaka has burned off the illusion, not by fighting an epic battle against his demons, not by exerting heroic effort to slay a dragon, but by turning on the flashlight and realizing the dragon was a rope the whole time.
Okay, stepping out of the role play now. Wow. Taking a deep, modern breath. Dropping the mantle of King Janaka and the sage Ashtavakra, speaking directly to you, the listener, trying to summarize the sheer magnitude of the journey we just took.
It is heavy. It is not a casual listen, and it certainly isn't a casual read.
It really isn't. The Ashtavakra Gita is the anti-self-help book. It won't help you manage your time better. It won't make you a more productive employee.
Definitely not.
In fact, if you take it seriously, it might make you the worst employee in the world, because you will become a master idler who sees absolutely no fundamental difference between a promotion and a demotion.
It challenges the very foundation of how human beings operate in the physical world. We are terrified, fragile creatures. We believe that we are vulnerable bodies, moving through linear time, performing exhausting actions, trying desperately to secure a safe future that never actually arrives.
It's exhausting.
Ashtavakra takes that entire paradigm and flips it upside down. He says we are the timeless, indestructible space in which bodies, time, and actions momentarily appear and disappear.
And while that sounds terrifying to the ego, it leaves the soul with a profound, unimaginable sense of lightness. If you aren't the doer, you aren't carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders. You can finally, truly put it down.
It is the ultimate relief.
So we want to leave you with a final thought to mull over as you go back into the reality of your day. Building on this ancient wisdom, but applying it right now.
A takeaway.
The text says you are the shoreless ocean, and the entire universe is just waves rising and falling within you. So the next time you feel completely overwhelmed by life, whether it's an aggressive, passive-aggressive email from your boss, a frustrating hour-long traffic jam, or even a major, terrifying life crisis, just pause.
Just for 1 second.
Just for 1 second, and ask yourself, are you the fragile little boat being tossed around and smashed by the waves? Or are you the ocean itself, vast, deep, and untouched, simply watching the storm play out on your surface? No more can be said.